that's really what Paul's talking about here. He often, if you'll excuse my hat this morning, Mona put it on me because she gave me a haircut, but the blade that she's supposed to cut it with was too dull and wouldn't cut it, so she had to cut it with the shorter one, and there's no hair left on my head hardly, so it don't bother me, but
You're in the club.
Brother Lyle, yeah. I have less hair than I do, and I've had a short haircut. Anyhow, this second Colossians, I think you'll like this. I think it'll do us some good if we'll listen to what Paul, the Apostle Paul, is saying. Colossians, the second chapter, 9th and 10th verse says, For in him dwells all the fullness of the Godhead bodily. The fullness of the Godhead. And we are complete in him. And that didn't say it we're complete except for this or that. But we are complete in him, which is the head of all principalities and powers. Which is the head of all principalities and powers. I hope you're getting this. Apostle Paul was dealing here with a problem that had crept into the church, such as Judaizers and some worshiping other things. They were saying, we need Christ all right, but that's not enough. We need to keep the old law as well. And a lot of people are still preaching that today in different churches. I won't name them, but that we need to keep the old law as well. But we are complete in him. Let's not lose vision of the message Paul was trying to get across. We need to keep the old law too, especially things like circumcision. They would say we need to be circumcised, and what we eat, no pork. Paul was saying, no, we are complete in him. I learned in business administration that in the business world, to process a product to completion, there must first be an invention, then a design, research, manufacturing, marketing, and the selling of the product. But the salvation that comes from Christ and from him alone is already complete. This order is given in many places, but one other place is given is Romans the 8th chapter, the 30th verse. He says, first is foreknowledge. We receive foreknowledge. Then predestination. We are predestinated. He said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. Let us give him rule and dominion. You say, well, that hasn't happened. Well, God's not through yet. When God is through, we will do everything that God has made us to be. In predestination, calling, those who he predestined, then he called and justified and glorified. In other words, complete. Until we are complete. He just doesn't deal with us the day we say, yes, Jesus, I accept you in my heart. We learn to trust him. We learn little by little. We are complete in him. He also does this. He alone does this. God has one kind of salvation, and it is complete salvation, and it is a gift. Did you guys get that?
Yes.
I'm sorry, but a lot of the world hasn't received that yet. It is a gift. Salvation is a gift. Ephesians, the 2nd chapter, 8th verse, Apostle Paul again saying, for by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. Not of yourselves. It is the gift of God. Now, I didn't stutter, did I? It's the gift of God.
Amen.
And Philippians, the second chapter, 12th and 13th, Paul again says, "Wherefore, my beloved, as you have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now, much more in my absence." Don't get confused.